Nick, last week we talked about open houses, and so this week I promised that I would continue that conversation because, back to Matt's point, if you don't have enough people every single day to talk to people for 2 to 3 hours, you don't have enough people in your database. And so right now, open houses are a great strategy. For those of you that have got your real estate license within the last 4 years, this is how we used to do it. This is where we used to get our buyers, and this is where we used to get our business. So, first point in our follow up from last week is you got to know your West USA tool belt. If you are hosting and are holding an open house and all you're doing is handing out flyers and handing out business cards, you are doing it wrong. I cannot remember the last time that somebody ever called me and said, "Hey, Mike, you don't remember me, but I've been holding on to your business card for the past 3 years, and I thought now is the time to call." It doesn't work that way. So for me, when I approach an open house, the ultimate goal for an open house is to collect data and set appointments. If you come to my open house and I do not get your name, phone number, and email address, then I've just wasted that opportunity because, again, that person is not going to call me and they're not going to save my business card. They're going to take those flyers. As much time as we put into them, those flyers are going to go into the trash can. We just know it because this is what we do when we go places and we get flyers. So what I mean by your tool belt, when I'm having a real estate conversation with someone, there's about 12 tools in my head that just it's like a slot machine that just keeps going around and round and round until that conversation leads me to a specific tool which I think is going to benefit that open house attendee the most and going to allow me to collect their information. And one of them is the mobile app. I use my mobile app all the time, Nick, as you know. Whether people are actually using my mobile app is secondary.
Yeah.
What my mobile app allows me to do, because I know how to share my mobile app, is to collect people's phone number names and phone numbers, because I have to, in order to share my mobile app in person with you and to show you how to use the mobile app, I need your phone number, and then I can get to verify that you've downloaded it, and now I can show you how to do the mobile app. Our websites, especially for neighbors who are coming to the open house. We call them Recon Neighborhood Reports, but it's a neighborhood report. We set up searches on the MLS just for buyers. We should be doing the same thing for sellers, but instead of doing it in the MLS, I do it on my iFound Agent website because it's kind of like a HomeBot. I'm not a huge fan of HomeBot because if my clients are on HomeBot, then they're not on my website.
Yeah.
I want you on my website. And of course, RPR, when I do an open house, I have my laptop open. Let people go. It's like a game. Go up there, type in your address, and let's see the value of your home. So when you type up the address, once I have the address, I know the name, and through Forewarn, I can get phone numbers, I can get all kinds of information, but I can also then say create a report. Say, I'm going to email this report to you, collect their email address, and of course, if buyers are coming, the MLS search portal. I'm not a fan of, hey, let me get your information tonight. I'm going to set you up on that search. I'm going to set up that search right now, right on the spot. I'm going to let you watch me set up this search, and I can now still collect data from that.
Yeah. So I didn't see these notes before we started, but listening to what you're talking about, Mikey, something that I think a lot of realtors don't think about when they're setting up for an open house is engagement with the open house viewers. If you won't have plans and strategies set up to engage with the individuals walking through your open house, you're not using your time efficiently. That's the whole goal. You're, like Mike said, you're trying to collect data. So we keep getting questions coming in about who are we calling? How are we getting those phone numbers of who we're supposed to call? This is the way to do that. The one thing I don't see up there is be a CRM, but you can set up a CRM landing page so that people walk into your open house, they'll sign in. But again, if I don't want to talk to somebody, I just want to look at the open house, I'm not going to sign in. But if I can talk to you about getting reports on the neighborhood, if I can enter my current home and get a CMA on the spot, if I can get set up to get valuable information as I leave, I'm going to engage with whoever is hosting the open house. And that should be what the agent's trying to accomplish.
Yeah, and one of the things you and I discussed this morning that we didn't really have up here. Okay, so so once you have the data, what do you do with it?
Yeah.
And that really is coming up with a follow-up strategy that's going to include video text or text messages, emails, drip campaigns. I mean, you got to customize your own follow-up strategy. But every single person that I enter into my CRM, I initially have got them on a 12-month follow-up system. And how long do you follow up with them? Well, I follow up with them until they either transact or they tell me to pound sand.
Yeah.
You know,
Unsubscribe or do something with me. I'm going to keep talking to you.
yeah.
And I think that's the thing. I mean, we can set up all kinds of drips. You can get very macro into your CRM, but at base, you pick up the phone the next day and you call the person who came to your open house, or you call them the next week and just check in. Hey, I saw you pop by my open house. If you're not interested in that home, I've got 21,000 other active homes on the marketplace right now we can talk about. It's that engagement in talking to those people that come through. That's what the point of these are.
All right. So second point is dominating the neighborhood. I don't I it's I have the same conversation with agents over and over and over when I ask them how the open house went. It didn't go very good. I didn't have any buyers come through, but I had three neighbors come through. you, you want the neighbors. The neighbors are
Yeah.
really where the money is at. But one of your primary goals when we do open houses for our team, one of our primary goals is to meet the neighbors. We want to get as many neighbors to come by that open house as we can, because though many of the neighbors aren't necessarily ready to transact, at some point they're likely to put their house on the market. They're likely to sell their house. They're likely to move. And if you have a good follow-up strategy, you're going to improve your odds of being top of mind when they're ready to actually sell. But you got to know, I mean, one of the things you got to know the psychology. You got to know what buyers are curious about, but you also got to know what sellers are curious about. A seller is going to come to your open house because they're curious about how much that house is listed for. They're curious about what their home is worth, especially in today's market.
Mhm.
Nobody knows how much their house is worth. I don't even know how much my house is worth anymore, right? But they want to know how much their house is worth, and they want to know how their house compares to the house that you're holding open.
Yeah.
They want to take a look at updates. They want to take a look at what are the updates to the house that you're holding open, as far as flooring and countertops and bathrooms and backyards and things like that. And they want to know how their home compares to that. So be prepared. Those are the conversations. When they come in, if I know what you're curious about, I know what kind of conversation I'm going to have with you. And these are the conversations I'm going to have. And then I go back to my tool belt. Which one of these tools is going to best put me in a position to collect your name, phone number, email, and so forth. But part of dominating the neighborhood, go back to, doing the just listed postcards. We've got the great relationship with what's our company in San Antonio or in Austin?
Quantum Digital.
Quantum Digital. Yes, get the just listed postcards out there. What's nice about the just listed postcards through Quantum Digital is they don't include the price of the home.
Mhm.
There's a website and a code that directs them to the website. You collect information on who's interested, who's triggering that marketing piece, and then create a special neighbors only event,
Mhm.
whether it's a Thursday night wine and cheese event, whether it's 2 hours prior to the open house where neighbors only, and then canvass the neighborhood, do your just listed flyers, knock on everybody's door, invite them to the open house. And it is such an easy conversation. If I knock on your door, I got Sue sitting next to me. Hey, Sue, this is Mike from West USA. Just want you to know we just listed this house around the corner, and I know the number one thing that everybody always wants to know is how much is the house is listed for. Here's a flyer. Do you have any questions?
No, but I'm so glad you invited me to that open house because I did a special invitation just for you.
It's really really that
Yeah.
simple. So dominate the neighborhood, become and then just do the just sold postcards and then the just sold flyers when it lists. One of the other things I do when I used to do open houses and I canvass the neighborhood, knock on the door and say, hey, one of the things I'm going to do for you if you're interested is I'm going to let you be the first to know when this house closes and how much for. I'm going to text you, or I'm going to keep you updated on the status of this house via text message. So dominate the neighborhood, get to know the neighbors.
Yeah, and with the software that West US agents have access to, it used to be called Circle Pix. Now it's called Core Listing Machine. You can build open house announcements. So if you don't have someone who builds things for you and you're not using Canva, you can go into Core Listing Machine. All the information on that listing is already there. If you're taking an open house from somebody else, you can enter the information into your system, put the photos, the description, put the time and date in, and then we've got great partners in printing. Have those printed, and you're knocking on doors, passing those invitations out, and doing that special invite for the neighbors. Again, people keep asking, where am I getting phone numbers to call? This is how you can do that.
And the neighbors are watching you. So
Yeah.
if you don't engage with them when they walk in the door or you haven't invited them, you're sitting there doing whatever and you're not really engaged, they're noticing that. And if it's time for them to list, are they going to be calling you?
Don't take pictures with your cell phone.
Correct.
Little pet peeve. All right. And number 3 is you got to know what to say and how to handle objections. I assume every conversation that I have with anyone right now regarding real estate, they're very curious and very concerned about interest rates, and they're very concerned about a perceived market crash. Whether the market crash is impending or not, I don't think so. But this is what's on people's minds. Where they get their information from, that is secondary. Be the source of that information. But these are the two things. These are the two conversations that I'm having over and over and over. And Nick, we spend so much time on this webinar, and I would encourage people to go back to the YouTube page. But we spend so much time talking about how to handle these objections and how to motivate people to transact. And really, as far as the interest rates go, I'm having a very, very high success rate. And Sue, my conversations go something like this. People go, so Mike, and they always ask you with kind of, it's kind of a dig. So Mike, so how's the real estate market? How's your real estate business
It
going?
is such an opportunity right now. It
What?
is such an amazing, ignore the national media that is talking about New York. We're not New York. This market is really good here. People are still moving here.
And my response is when people ask me that, I say, well, it's going really good. I can't tell you how busy I am. And they go, really? And then that's when I get into the opportunities. So listen, take the higher interest rate and get a house $50,000, $60,000 under market value, and then we can talk about refinance. It's not about the payment as much as it is about getting a deal on a house. And to your point, Sue, there's so much opportunity out there for buyers. We need to be in a position to be able to explain how we can exploit the market on behalf of the buyers, how we can take advantage of the market on behalf of buyers. And this is how I am going to do it. And I'm having decent success rate in getting people excited about buying right now because I know that this is what's on their minds. I know that these are their concerns. And in my conversations, I have to overcome those objections.
You have to. And anybody that has bought in the past 15, 10, 20 years, we have equity. If you've bought in the past 2 years, you have equity. If you bought last year, you're going to have equity. And when you decide that it's time for you to sell, you'll be okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would say the other thing I would do if you're curious and you're not sure how to handle these objections, pay attention every single first of every single month. We post the top 10 agents for every single office. Okay, notice who's on there. Reach out to them. They're in the top 10 because they figured it out and they're busy, and take them out to lunch, take them out to breakfast, take them out to coffee, and go, how are you handling these objections?
All of our agents share. And I think that's the part of what really makes this company tick is because the agents aren't, let me shut my door, I don't want to talk to you. They all are willing to share.
And if you're listening to this and you're still not really sure which way to go, I'd be remiss not to bring it up since we do have the director of coaching sitting with us today. We have amazing coaches at West USA who would love to be able to help you navigate through all of this current market and help you get successful as quickly as possible, as well as amazing teams. So we always opportunity and options for anyone out there who's a little bit confused through this stuff.
Yeah, and I was going to say on point number 2. So if everybody wants to get ready to write down my my email address, we're actually in our team meeting tomorrow. So we're just going to invite everybody. If you'd like to come up to the corporate office on Wednesday at 10 o'clock for our team meeting, we're going to go in depth through this whole dominating the neighborhood step by step, how you plan these things and so forth. So if you are interested in that, my email address is mikew@westusa.com. That's Mike W@westusa.com. We thought we'd just open that up to all West USA agents. So if you're interested in learning more on how we do this, feel free to join us.
Are you having lunch?
McRibs. It's a McRib fest.
I'm sorry.
All right.